Hi everyone, my name is Jonathan Schnoffer. I'm a senior at RIT in philosophy. I am presenting at this Capstone conference my senior thesis titled The Pursuit of Virtue in Outdoor Sport and Recreation. This thesis presents a virtue ethics that can be used to determine how adventure sports, outdoor recreation, and expeditions can maintain their integrity when their methods are challenged by novel influences. So the first question with any philosophical discussion is, why do we care? Why do we need a virtue ethics for adventure sports and outdoor recreation? The answer to this is that unlike traditional areas of sport, outdoor and adventure recreation are in control of the ends, the limits of their sport. For comparison, consider basketball. In basketball, Michael Jordan may be the best player to ever have played that game. But after he played it, the sport itself at its core did not change. The methods didn't totally change. The hoops didn't get smaller. The court didn't get larger. Nothing fundamentally changed. In outdoor sports like climbing, we do see actual shifts occur in the sport. Probably the most popular example of this is in areas of climbing called free soloing, where you climb large rocks without any protection, no ropes, no protective gear, no nothing. This didn't used to be a part of climbing, but the athletes themselves decided they were going to incorporate this as a part of the sport. And now it may be one of the most popular, or at least most well-known areas of the sport, made famous through movies like Free Solo. The reason we need a virtue ethic is because the participants and the communities themselves are in control of the direction of the sport. They risk changing the sport, how it is defined at its core, and potentially risk changing how the outdoor components are associated with those activities. My thesis identifies 6 virtues that can help be used to determine when these athletes and their objectives have gone beyond the ethical limits. These 6 virtues are listed here: collaboration, education, athleticism, stewardship, sport empowerment, and temperance. Collaboration is the employment of consensus-based decision-making. Essentially, you have to consider something beyond just yourself. You have to consider your team and the environment in your objective. Education is the promotion of educational benefits either on behalf of the participant or on behalf of future participants. We must learn something from the experience or be able to share learning from the experience. Athleticism is the probably most definite sport aspect of this. You have to have be promoting athletic improvement either through mental athletic improvement or from physical athletic improvement. Stewardship is the preservation of the environment. These outdoor activities require an outdoor component. So there must be some appreciation and care for the natural world that depends upon these activities, or that these activities depend upon. Sport empowerment is the advancement and direction of the discipline. In an objective or in an action, the athlete should refine the sport or make the sport better in some way. Temperance, the moderation or indulgence of passion. Essentially, this is the understanding of when to turn back and when an objective has become the only line of sight. This is sort of pinholing a vision so that the athlete can only see the objective through this excess appetite for success. These 6 virtues, there are some problems in maintaining them. They're listed here, beginning with firsts. There's a limited amount of them. They can cause athletes to try and achieve an objective at any costs, and they are changing fundamentally in how they're defined. Technology is another. As technological improvement gets better, it can indeed make the sport safer, but it also challenges the connection that we have with the actual activity. If something becomes too technologically advanced, does it separate us from the core of the sport itself? Competition. Again, this can challenge athletes to strive for only one specific aspect of the sport. And in areas like indoor climbing, it can be removing the natural component entirely. Lastly is epics. Epics are the big fish stories. They're the exciting adventures. We see these presented through Red Bull films, and they can, again, create dangerous neglect or even cause intentional error. While we have the technology to look at weather, those aspects can be neglected, and people can put themselves purposefully in situations that they want to be able to tell these big fish stories about that day out on the trail, how it was crazy. But in so are actually dangerously neglecting the safety concerns associated with them. I have these 6 virtues here listed again with devices that are of them. The opposite of collaboration is the non-cooperation. You don't have those components. In education, it's ignorance. In athleticism, it's ineptness. You are no longer challenging your mind or your body. For stewardship, it's subjection. We're subjecting the environment to its use and not considering the care for it, even though these outdoor activities depend upon an outdoor component. In sport empowerment, it's regression, making steps backwards against the betterment of a sport. And for temperance, it's the aggressive appetite. In my thesis, I present an example for a prime example for what happens when these virtues aren't followed. This is the case of Colin O'Brady. Colin O'Brady is an adventure athlete who, on December 26th of 2018, attempted and completed the first solo and unsupported crossing of Antarctica. His achievement was verified by a expedition organization that's based in Antarctica. But there are reasons to be concerned about O'Brady's attempt. While he didn't get assistance in the way we usually think of it, he didn't have a nice warm bed to sleep in. He didn't have somebody help him out along the way. He was solo and didn't have anyone who was directly there to help him. There are portions of it when we look further that he may have used what I would consider assistance. O'Brady's trek, the last 366 miles of his trek was on something called the SPOT, S-P-O-T, the South Pole Traverse, also known as the McMurdo South Pole Highway. It's not a highway when we think of a paved road, but it is the crevasses have been filled in, the snow has been flattened, and it is marked with flags. While the ALE, which is the certifying organization, did not find that the use of that road was support, I argue that that is instead a regression of athleticism and an overreaching use of assistance. A comparison to this is Borge Osland, who in 1996, 1997 attempted a very similar feat, but could not be considered unsupported because of the use of a kite. To me, Osland is utilizing nature in his kite, and while that may count as support, did not utilize the highway and went a far longer distance. O'Brady capitalized on many of the aspects of defining these limits, but the ice shelves as seen in this map here are frozen. They are traversable, and Osland didn't neglect them. And it feels as though O'Brady did not fully complete the objective he set out to do. And his success isn't one that comes with an asterisk. It is accepted, but it has been challenged by the outdoor community. It's examples like O'Brady's that give us reason to support these virtues in outdoor recreation, unless better information and ethical principles are used to define how these sports advance. We run the risk of not being able to control those limits. I look forward to taking any questions, and thank you very much.